Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Happy Tuesday to everybody, however you may be consuming. Absorbing the show?
Yep.
Could be absorbing it at KSLSports.com. You could be absorbing it on YouTube. You can be absorbing it the old-fashioned way on your radio dial, on the AM or the FM.
Driving around.
Or you could be absorbing it via podcast in the future.
Yep.
Shout out to our friends in the future. Our
future absorbers.
Our future absorbers. God, we might have to ditch that one.
What? I like it.
We might have to. All right.
It's all encompassing.
I mean, it's unique.
It's all welcoming.
It's unique, which I think is kind of the flavor of this show. So
yeah.
maybe we
Jake
should.
and Ben, be absorbed.
Okay.
Get absorbed.
Be absorbed. Yeah. Okay.
I like it.
That's like a sponge thing going.
Whatever. However you want to absorb. That's up to you. That's none of my business, truthfully.
I never was a SpongeBob person.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if
I
you
was
were.
too old
Did
for
that
it. Yeah.
fall into your wheelhouse?
No,
Sean, were you a SpongeBob kid?
It was. I hit the late end of it.
The late end? Okay. I missed it entirely. But my 8, soon-to-be 9-year-old has discovered the music thanks to her school choir. And so I got to tell you, it's the worst. How do again, SpongeBob apparently is making a comeback. There's like a movie or something coming. I don't know. But wow, it's bad. How was that popular?
SpongeBob? Yeah, it's a little like
the music. I don't know about the cartoon, but the music is just so terrible.
Yeah, I believe that. It's a little like PG Ren and Stimpy, which if you were to watch Ren and Stimpy, you're like, this is not a television show. What is this trash? Like, and I mean that on purpose. Like, they're designed to be junk, thrown together, and chaotic. And certainly SpongeBob has that. And yes, it's almost a bit of a joke of how bad it is.
Honestly, if you go back, it's unfair to go back and consume media from ahead and have any sort of judgment, in my opinion, because
that's fair.
like it fits within the cultural window. That said, I think from like 1970 through 2000-ish, I think they only hired acid-taking psychopaths to write television. Mm-hmm. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Like,
which is very Ren and Stimpy, but also very SpongeBob.
Like, there's no way that the people that wrote Ren and Stimpy were mentally with us. And look at some of the television that came out of the 70s. I mean, just wild. Anywho. It's probably not much better today. Does television even exist?
Not really. Not broadcast TV. The sports.
Sports does really prop up everything.
Yep.
Sports and NCIS.
The Bachelorette. Until my girl Taylor.
Until she got to it.
Got her hands on it.
By the way, this is really random, but I'm 40% sure I saw Jen Shaw at Costco yesterday.
Oh, okay. You should have harassed her.
But
should have bothered her.
But here's the thing. No. And it didn't look that
You're
much
one
like
of her biggest fans.
It just kind of looked like her. And this is where, but it was an employee. So I don't.
So wasn't somebody picking up protein shakes or getting their tires changed?
No.
Or getting the $1.50 dog and drink combo? She's like stock at the shelf.
So.
Is that Jen Shaw?
I don't think.
It's a work release program?
I don't think it was her. But I did have the thought, like, okay, you get out of the slammer. You've probably got to get a job. Your old line of work, probably not an option.
Uh-huh.
I know several people that work at Costco that say it's a baller place to work.
Yeah, it's all I've heard.
Yeah. So I don't know. It didn't seem that out of pocket. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's why I put it at 40%.
Okay. I didn't know. I did not expect you to say she was working there.
I didn't expect to see her in a Costco vest.
I will say this. If you and I ever hit 20 years doing this show, which we are 16 years away from, my goal as a gift to you would be Jen Shaw's badge, her name tag, from Costco.
Oh, my gosh.
The Jen Costco tag.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, priceless. An heirloom. Something you could pass down to your girls.
And I did not get close enough to read the tag. See Jen on there and be like, no way.
No.
I've told you I've run into at least 2 of the housewives in the wild, and neither one of them was Jen Shaw. One was the Whitney Rose in the beer line at the James Taylor concert.
Okay.
And one was Lisa Barlow in the elevator at a jazz game.
Have we ever drafted local celebrities?
Oh, that's amazing. We should do that.
Okay. Put it on the list tomorrow, Sean. We got to let you go Wednesday tomorrow.
Why would Dick Norris be taken number 1?
Yeah.
Sean's in there laughing. Oh, the dude's a legend.
Yeah,
Rest in
absolutely.
peace.
We've got a
Oh, I
couple.
know him.
Yeah.
Local celebrities.
Local
dude.
celebs.
Well, what would you consider local? Like born here or lived here or is
I
notable
think their
from
fame
here?
has to be integrated with our state.
So Roseanne Barr would be out.
Who's like Devin Brown. Yeah, Roseanne Barr. Stevie Nicks.
What
Spent
about-
time here, doesn't count.
What about Bob Redford?
Yeah, absolutely. Local celeb. Yes.
Okay.
Has strong Utah ties.
Okay. All right. Because there are some randoms that have, like James Woods was born in Vernal.
Yeah, no. Byron Scott or whoever it was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. We have
I don't think that's a Utah thing.
I heard a legend that one of Salt and Peppa lived here or something like that, but I've never been able to confirm that one.
Okay.
But there are Devin Brown was born in Ogden.
Something like that. John Collins was born here at the Air Force Base, right?
What about Rory McIlroy used to come over here and play when he was a teenager?
No, but like Phil Mickelson's wife, right? Wasn't she a local?
She's like from Sandy or something.
Yeah.
So what about Finau?
Yeah, it's a great local celeb. I don't know if I'm going that high
Can
brow.
we claim Mike?
I think I'm going lower brow.
Can we claim Mike Weir?
Yeah, I think so.
Even though he's technically
I don't think I'm
going
to draft a single athlete.
No?
No, I'm going to leave that for you.
Oh,
I want the worst of Utah in my draft.
Honestly, is there anyone more famous than Karl Malone?
No. But that's not what I'm looking for. I mean, honestly, right now, Taylor Frankie Paul is way more famous than Karl Malone. She's still in, a weekly article or daily article at a lot of the rumor websites. So that might be my number 1 pick. We'll see.
I don't know if I'm saying rumor websites as an accurate gauge. Really?
Her Q rating is high. So she's the most famous Taylor on the planet. No,
Listen,
she's the second most famous Taylor on the planet right now.
100% of our audience said, yeah, I know Karl Malone.
Sure.
Maybe 30% of our audience
Is lying. Maybe
knows
70. Okay, so
Taylor.
70% of our audience is lying. Then.
No, I genuinely think anyone listening above 40 has no idea who that is. There are so many people that do not watch the Hulu stuff and get involved. Like, I would say a significant portion of our audience don't know the housewives we just referenced. And 2 of them even have connections to sports.
People know Jen. She was pretty infamous, and then has connections to sports.
What percentage of our audience actually watches The Bachelorette? I bet it's low.
Well, no one's going to watch Taylor on it.
No.
It got shelled.
But honestly, I bet
It'll come back.
I bet it's super low. You and I are into that sort of thing.
I've never watched The Bachelorette, but I will watch anything Taylor does.
Right, but I don't think you represent the majority of our audience, or really anywhere close. I mean, sports, if we want to get philosophical, it does have an amazing ability of transcending demographics. Infamous sports figures are known, I would argue, more infamously than niche celebrities. Certainly reality TV stars.
Sure, Lamar Odom. If you're talking about infamous celebrities.
Or infamous sports. I mean, I'd even throw John and Carl. I mean, everybody, like, in the world, you can go up to places and say, I'm from Utah, and they go, oh, John Stockton and Karl Malone. I mean, sports has an amazing ability to reach everyone, whereas, tabloids don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I love tabloids. Of the males in this country,
You consume them at a high level.
what percentage of males in this country consume tabloids? Or rumor pages?
I think more than we think.
Oh, I bet it's less than we think.
I think it's more than we think. I think there's some salacious weirdos out there, like me.
Well, yeah, but you are a weirdo.
Right.
Like meaning you're in the minority.
No, I think there are more weirdos than less now. I've been paying attention to this country for a couple of years now.
Like, you think our blue-collar workers out there blasting the show at a construction site or something like that have any idea who Taylor Frankie Paul is? No.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes, because when they go home, they consume trash television just like everybody else. In fact, they probably consume more trash television than they do sports.
Our audience?
Not our audience, but I'm talking about the guys at the construction site. I'm talking about the Joe average Joe consuming more Hulu garbage on the Disney Channel because their kids have it and their girlfriend or wives watch it, and so they're just a part of it. Then they are sitting down watching the Masters for 4 straight days.
But I don't think a hostage watch is actually being into it.
Well, that's fine. It's not about being into it. It's about are you absorbing it? Are you absorbing Taylor Frankie Paul?
I got to tell you, I had to hostage watch. What is the one about the nerds?
Revenge of the Nerds?
No, the silly TV show with the blonde gal and the guy from Roseanne.
Oh, not Third Rock. What's the stupid one?
Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, Third Eye Blind. The band Third Eye Blind.
Big Bang Theory?
Big Bang
Theory. Okay,
Theory.
that's it.
Yeah.
I absorbed maybe 10%.
Okay, but you watched it.
Maybe 10%.
You know who Sheldon
I don't know what
is.
Sheldon's maybe the only character I could tell you their name.
Yeah.
And there's like a Carl in there or a Derek or something.
I never saw it either. But I was aware of it because it's just a part of the cultural zeitgeist. The same way our ladies on Secret Lives are.
I would bet not very many people know who that gal is.
Taylor? I think everyone knows who Taylor is. She's crossed over. She's made the jump. This has all been bizarre for her, but truthfully, unfortunately, probably good for her. Her fame.
Her Page 6 fame, yeah.
Yeah.
How many people know what Page 6 is?
People know about
I do.
her.
I'm going to go there now.
Well, I couldn't tell you any of the other stars from Secret Lives names.
Let's see.
But I know Taylor.
Oh, you know what the lead story is? Frenemies. Jenny Garth details mysterious falling out with 90210 co-star Tiffany Thiessen. Click.
Read that.
Click. I'll go ahead and fill everyone in on that a little bit later on in the show. Ben, in the time we have left here in this first segment, I suppose, do you have any thoughts, or you were able to digest what is now locker room clean out, kinda? But anyway, all the finality of the final interviews. Do you have any hot takes you're bringing to the table after listening to it all?
My story I wrote last night, going back and re-listening to Will Hardy and Austin Ainge, who I was talking to both yesterday in their press conferences, was, a little surprised, I guess, in their desire to tamp down expectations next year. Now, I understand why. Why paint yourself in a corner of saying we got to make the playoffs or it's bust, and then fans are going to hold you to that. And the West is tough, and you are relying on a bunch of intangibles still, or at least unknowables. We don't know what Ace Bailey's second year is going to look like. Keontae George has been on the floor with Jaren Jackson Jr. for all of 9 minutes in his career. You're expecting some young players to take a step up. You're assuming Walker Kessler's going to be back on the roster. You're assuming health. And then the West is really difficult. You know, the West, and we make fun of kind of the mid-level of the NBA and how many games you should just be able to pick up by trying hard. You needed 49 wins to guarantee yourself the 6th seed, which is the only way to guarantee yourself a playoff spot now. 49 wins is a lot. That's 27 more than the Jazz got this year. Now, as you and I both said, there's at least 16 to 18 games the Jazz just left on the table. So now you're actually trying to close from 40 wins to 9 more wins, which I think the Jazz probably can do, and I think they can pick off some of these teams. But, yeah, as far as resetting the expectations for next year, I think there's an assumption it's the playoffs. That's kind of what I would hold the bar for the Jazz to. But I guess their desire to not put that out there yet should maybe adjust some expectations for fans.
Yeah, I mean, who was the player? Was it Jaren Jackson yesterday?
Yeah.
That said
100%.
next stop playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more the reality. I understand. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. I get it. You want to set a low bar so you can jump over it. I play it down. We haven't seen anything yet. But after 4 years in the desert, when you get to the oasis, you want to drink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they have enough talent on the team to expect that. I don't think that's unfair. I don't think fans are going to set low expectations for the team regardless. So, they can try and slow the flow, but they've been buying tickets to see a team rebuilding for a while, and I emphasize the buying tickets part because the building has stayed relatively full.
Yep.
So buying tickets for a while now, still dropping in on Bowler and Thurl and Locke and Booner for a while now, not watching or listening to competitive basketball. People are ready to go. And I've always said this, basketball fans in this town are smart. And they know roster construction, and they can spot basketball talent, and they can see it. And having 2 former All-Stars, an up-and-coming point guard, a top 5 draft pick, and a center that the last time we saw him was showing a mild amount of offensive improvement, but was one of the league's best rebounders and rim defenders. I mean, why not? Why not hold that team to high expectations? They should.
Somewhat ironically, the Houston Rockets over their tank, their 3-year span, they went 17-55, which was the Jazz's record 2 seasons ago. They went 20-62, so they had a slower ramp up. Then they went 22-60, which was the Jazz's exact record this year. And then their next year, they went out and got some veterans. They got Fred VanVleet, they got Dylan Brooks, and they went 41-41. So they jumped from 22 to 41. They narrowly missed the playoffs. I think they were in the play-in tournament. They may have thrown the season down the stretch to avoid the play-in tournament. I can't remember exactly. And then the next year, they lost in the conference final, or in the first round, that was last year, they won 52 games. So they went from 22 to 41 to 52 over a 2 or 3 year span, depending on how you want to look at it. The Jazz would be entering that first year where they just missed the playoffs at 41-41. I do think the Jazz are making bigger improvements to their roster than the Rockets did by adding Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. So you can make a 20-win jump. Somewhat realistically, Detroit did the same thing.
So Houston added veterans too early, and the veterans weren't good enough. And Houston's going nowhere. So I don't like the comparison to Houston because they've made some bad decisions. They failed on Jalen Green, and then they traded him for Kevin Durant. I don't think it's going to work. That doesn't scratch where they itch. Kevin Durant's criticism of Şengün, now while I'm on Team Şengün, his criticism about Şengün was not wrong. The team's best player doesn't play any defense and is not a great shooter. That is not incorrect. So I don't know. Houston didn't add Jaren Jackson. I love Fred VanVleet too. And I don't really love Dylan Brooks, and I do think he's kind of overrated, but good on him. He seems to win some games wherever he goes. They're not in the same stratosphere as Jaren Jackson Jr. Not on the, and on top of that, Jalen Green, the other player they were going to, is not Lauri Markkanen, in my opinion. Maybe that's a bad comparison. Maybe we should compare Lauri to Şengün. But anyway, I don't know if Houston's going anywhere. I don't know if that's a great comparison or a slow build or whatever. The Jazz have more talent than that.
The Detroit Pistons won 14 games in 2023-24, added Tobias Harris, added Paul Reed, added somebody else. I couldn't tell you who all it is. And they went from 14 wins to 44 wins. My point being, with Houston and Detroit, is you can add 20 wins. This doesn't have to be in an offseason. To your point of, did the Jazz just leave 16 or 18 wins on the board this year? Probably. So if you just win those, how many more can you add on top of that? Houston showed maybe you can add 10 more on top of that. Or, Detroit showed that. Houston maybe was able to add 3 or 4 more. The Jazz are hoping to add. Truthfully, the Jazz are hoping to add 30 more wins. the Jazz would love to be at 50, 52 next year. And if you do that, you are in that 4-5 matchup, which I think should be the goal.
I agree.
So it's not out of the realm of possibilities to do in a single offseason anymore. And I do think that used to be much harder to do in the NBA.
You think Patrick Kinahan has any idea who Taylor Frankie Paul is?
Yeah. PK's with it. He's on the internet.
Not a chance.
PK's on the internet.
Not a chance that dude knows who that is. David James knows who Taylor Frankie Paul is?
Yes, DJ knows who
No,
TFP is.
come on.
Locally,
Come
yes.
on.
Locally, yes.
Come
People
on.
in Utah know who Taylor Frankie Paul is.
Stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. 2 things real quick. 1, this song now makes me think of
Jordan Clarkson?
Despicable Me.
Oh.
And that is what they do now, the hook in kids' movies, is to sprinkle in a little nostalgia for the parents. But then it kind of takes over, which is annoying.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking about the Minions,
Okay.
which is hilarious. And 2, the Jenny Garth story was nothing. She doesn't even give the juicy details on why their relationship. She just said some friends are for seasons and reasons or something stupid.
Nobody knows who that is. But good news, Taylor Frankie Paul did win a bitter legal battle over her ex-boyfriend, Dakota. She's got a restraining order.
Don't they both?
Probably.
Poor kids.
Yeah, poor kids.
Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Sean, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, NBA play-in tournament starts tonight.
We'll see how this run goes. We've got the Heat taking on the Hornets. Hornets were kind of this great story all year, and maybe they can get past this play-in tournament stretch. They're going to get absolutely washed by the Detroit Pistons in the first round, and that kind of conversation of how fun this was is going to disappear very quickly. And then the night game is the Trailblazers versus the Suns. Trailblazers, if they make the playoffs, lose their draft pick. If they miss the playoffs, they keep their draft pick. And I'm curious if that will have any motivation on their
All
decisions.
4 of these teams should tank. All 4. Have we seen availability? All 4 of these teams should be fielding G League squads.
I don't know if the Suns own their own pick. My suspicion is the Suns don't. Well,
According to their bozo owner, they don't.
They don't need the
they
picks.
They don't dabble in such things. Is this Adam Silver Super Bowl tonight?
It's his crown jewel. It's certainly his crowning achievement.
This and the night in the fall in Vegas, right?
Sure.
I mean, they're really his times to shine.
Yeah.
So I hope he's there in Charlotte or Phoenix.
He better be front and center.
I would think so. I would guess the Hornets have been playing better. I would think they win. And then, why would the Blazers want to win? Suns probably win tonight, too.
Blazers have been weirdly feisty all season long. Credit them for that. I like that teams, the Kings, you can make fun of them, and I make fun of them all the time. I like that they won whatever it was, 8 of 19 down the stretch or whatever it was, and it wasn't good for them, and now they're tied with the Jazz in the standings, and we're talking about, again, fractions of a percentage point, and they don't have any chance of losing their pick, so why not? But I don't mind teams that just say, we're going to go play. We're just going to go out there and try and win.
No, I like it, too. I do. It gives me nostalgia. But why is Portland able to do that? Because they're a rudderless ship.
Yeah.
Their coach got arrested off the sidelines before the season. What, in the preseason? The team has been sold. Nobody knows who's going to be there or not be there. If there were competent leadership at the moment that knew what they were doing, Portland would be instructed to lose this game. like they would have been instructed to lose for the last 2 months. But yeah, I mean, if you want to look at a cute, plucky storyline.
But this is the whole problem with the NBA, which is that's
Yes.
really cool for Portland that they decided to go 42 and 40
But they're
this
going
year.
nowhere.
And it doesn't help them in the slightest.
Nope.
In fact, it's going to hurt them now. Now, don't trade your draft picks or whatever, and that's part of it. And we've got Dame coming back next year. We'll see how that goes. I'm not super confident that that's going to be anything positive. But
I point that out because that's the flaw.
yeah, that's the flaw of the system.
That's the flaw.
Is that there's no teams more punished than everybody right now in the play-in tournament.
By doing well, by playing hard,
Yeah.
by punching above their weight, Portland is doing itself a disservice.
And by the way, this is not particularly new. It's more exacerbated today and exaggerated than it ever has been. But I was young. You might have been working in the business at the time. You know, the Jazz go 42 and 40, ironically the exact same record as the Portland Trail Blazers in the first non-Carl John year, and they miss out on a chance to go draft Dwight Howard. Well, where would the Jazz have been better? Now, they got Carlos Boozer, they got Darren Williams a couple years later. That ended up working out okay. But you would have been better off having Dwight Howard and tanking if you could have gotten the number 1 overall pick. It would have been more beneficial that year to be terrible versus drafting Kirk Snyder and Bowflex. Chris Humphries.
Bowflex, that's funny. That was
That's what Jerry
my
called him.
that was my first year interning, and I remember that because why was the roster so crappy going into that year? Do you remember?
Why?
It was because
yeah,
the
yeah.
Jazz missed on signing 2 restricted free agents. One is current assistant head coach Jason Terry.
Yeah.
And the other is Corey Maggette, who knows what he's doing right now. But I do remember, and this is why I kindly
He's also an assistant.
I kind of think fondly of the Jet, Jason Terry, and this is throwback radio producing days. But we did not have the Jazz rights at the time.
Oh, really?
Going way back, we were not the Jazz station, and this happened, and there was a race to see who could get Jason Terry on the radio. And this was before teams were so safeguarded about contacting players. Does that make any sense? Like there was actually a scramble. Like, does anybody know anybody related to Jason Terry?
Yeah.
And we won. I can't remember how we did it,
Oh, that's very cool.
but we got him on the phone, which is awesome. Shout out to Jason Terry, who doesn't remember that in the slightest, but it was a big deal to me. Oh, yeah, and then some bozo in Seattle was writing that the Jazz were going to win like 7 games or something like that all year, and then they overachieved. And was it in their best interest? Probably not.
But, and you know what? To their point, it's a lot of Jazz fans who are probably my age or a little bit older. A lot of people, that's the favorite season they've ever watched.
Old Keon Clark was out there dominating. What's his name? Raul Lopez had his 1 season basically in a Jazz uniform.
Yep.
Carlos Arroyo earned himself a contract.
Yes, he did.
Now, Andre Karolinko earned himself a max deal.
Raja Bell turned himself into a real NBA player.
So, yeah.
So,
do
credit those
remember
teams,
that,
but
though.
yes, it does not help you at all. Hornets, I guess, would be the most fun team. They're by far the most fun team that are in the play-in tournament. Tonight's games, as we mentioned, Heat, Hornets, Trailblazers, Suns. Tomorrow is Magic, 76ers, and the other ones are Warriors, Clippers. It really is a who's who of the most disappointing teams in the NBA outside of the Hornets, and I guess maybe the Suns, maybe the Trailblazers, because there's just like some scrappiness. And the Suns, a lot of people thought they were going to fall to the bottom because they traded Kevin Durant. But, man, this is not a good spot to be. Play-in tournament is an ultimate list of where you don't want to be in the NBA.
Hold on. I want to see how far LaMelo's usage dropped. Oh, not as far as I would have thought.
He's been good this year. LaMelo's been good.
He's down from a league high 35.9 down to 32, which is still a high number, but that is a pretty significant drop in that number.
It is. But their big issue is, or their big positive has been, Colin Knippel's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. Maybe not, but he should. And then Brandon Miller has taken a huge step forward. He's turned into a good player.
LaMelo still has the highest usage on the team.
Yeah.
Brandon Miller is at 28.
Also high.
Also high.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Number 2. Utah Mammoth try to get back on track tonight at home against the Jets.
After losing back-to-back games, the Mammoth can still clinch, according to our own Cole Bagley, our Utah Mammoth insider. Here are the scenarios for tonight's game if the Mammoth want to clinch. They can clinch the top wild card spot tonight. Remember, they're already in the playoffs. If they earn a point against the Jets, meaning just get this game to overtime, and the Canucks, who are not good, beat the Kings, or, that has to be in regulation, or Utah beats Winnipeg in any fashion and either the Wild defeat the Ducks in regulation or Vancouver defeats LA in any fashion. So still very heavily favored that they clinch. But I will say, you look now and the Kings are just 1 point behind them in the standings. So it does feel like they're nipping at their heels and there's only 2 games left for everybody.
Probably better for the Mammoth if they lock it up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, do that early.
With 2 games to go, to your point, they haven't played their best hockey over the last 2 games. You got to bounce back. I think last time we were talking to Cole, I asked him if they were playing their best hockey, and his answer was yes. Maybe that was Nick, one of the two.
Yeah.
And I agreed with him at the time. How things can change over a couple of games, so you got to steady the ship, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And look, that also applies for the Kings, who, like the Mammoth, are on a 5-game winning streak. Mammoth won 5 straight, including that road trip, and kind of pulled away from everybody, and now the Kings have caught up. But we do know that these are the 8 teams that have made it in the Western Conference. Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Vegas, Edmonton, Anaheim, Utah, and the Kings. Everybody else has been eliminated. So those are the 8 teams that are going to be competing in the playoffs.
All right, what's next?
Number 3, the basketball transfer portal has been busy in Utah.
When everybody's leaving BYU and people are freaking out?
Yeah, and then, I think it has surprised a lot of people. Now, BYU also did get a commit yesterday from a forward, a wing coming in from Syracuse, who's a big shooter, Tyler Betsy, but doesn't have particularly gaudy stats. I do think, obviously, the big key for BYU is that Colin Chandler committed. We did not talk about that yesterday, and I think you're hoping he makes a Richie Saunders-like jump from year 2 to year 3, because his sophomore season numbers are not particularly impressive, but he's got a lot of great tools, can shoot it, obviously a super athlete. So we'll see if he's able to make that jump.
I think the BYU basketball team this year underperformed.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question about it.
And I want to make it clear, though, that I'm not just talking about the tournament, because I think we get too gauged. That's how we gauge it, and that's not necessarily the entire story. And I don't think A.J. DeBonsa necessarily underperformed. So that, you look at the next level, right? All right, why you had a top-end guy. Well, what was the deal? And depth was obviously an issue, and the injuries certainly did not help that. But I didn't love the way that they were constructed. I didn't love the take turns play down the stretch and just going to strict ISO. There were a lot of things about that roster, the way it was constructed, that I didn't think was it. I thought the roster was much better constructed the year before, and they had more success, and I would classify that team as an overachieving team, but they didn't have the top-end guy. So you thought, okay, combine the two with the top-end guy. And anyway, long story short, I don't think they hit 3 cherries on the slot machine as far as roster construction goes. So if some guys decide to leave, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And bring in other dudes. See if it's a better fit. They needed a wing who could shoot. Everybody needs a wing who can shoot. See where they go. Colin Chandler. Now, I think what's interesting about him is he's a home guy. He's a Utah guy.
Uh-huh.
Much easier to keep that guy, my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you believe the rumors out there, his wife wants to come home or something.
Whatever.
Life stuff that matters. He has a tie. He has incentive to stay. And I think BYU leaned too far out of that.
Okay.
And too far into, let's bring in I hate the term mercenaries because it's what the sport is.
Yeah,
people take that as a negative thing, but lean toward people from the outside. And I think, and you and I have always had this discussion, the magic is finding the secret sauce.
Uh-huh.
The magic is finding the blend where you can get old and stay old and then add a top-end guy that supposedly takes you to the next level.
BYU.
I think reshuffling the deck is more than appropriate.
Yeah, and it's certainly not a cause for panic.
No. Well, they still have all the resources. They can still grab all these players they want. They got a transfer from Syracuse.
I guarantee you, Colin Chandler was not cheap.
Right.
They went out and got a guy, and they probably had to pay him very handsomely to come play at BYU.
And they'll have to pay him to stay,
suitors.
too.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's going to stay for free, but he has more of an incentive to stay than Rob Wright does.
Correct, and you might be able to see him through his junior year, which I do expect him to make a Richie Saunders-like leap, who, if I remember, Richie went from 9 points to 16 points, and I think if you look at Colin Chandler this year at Kentucky, he's probably right around 9 points. And he's going to have a huge role next year, and he and Bruce Branch III will probably kind of be the faces of the team. We'll see if Bruce is any good. There's no guarantee that a player coming in as a true freshman is ready to handle this level of basketball. But to your point, and I would compare it maybe to the Phoenix Suns, ironically, knowing where Kevin Young came from, but they have all this superstar talent last year with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and no formation of a team. And that's a little bit of what BYU had this year. They had superstar talent in AJ and Robert Wright and Richie Saunders, but really their strengths didn't necessarily complement each other. So now next year, if Colin Chandler comes back and you get Bruce Branch III, maybe you go and get a 7-footer. Maybe you go find some guys that actually complement one another, and this system works a lot better. And I think that can be an improvement from what we saw last season, because you're right. It's not just that you lost to a bigger Texas team in the NCAA tournament. It's that you were, 10-10 in conference or whatever it was? I mean, they were pretty mediocre. I mean, by definition, mediocre. They were a 500 team.
And weren't on a great run even before Richie got hurt.
Right. So I think they can certainly be better next year, even if they are less talented. And I do expect them to be less talented next season.
I think they need to be way dirtier. They need to find the dirtiest players they can. I think that about every program, though.
All right.
You have to have at least 3 dirty players on the floor at the same time.
I don't disagree with you. I actually do think you need some bad dudes. Utah also got its first, if I believe, commit.
Call it an edge, a player with an edge. I love the,
Sure.
what do they call that, superlatives for dirty player?
Yeah. Whatever you want to do to put lipstick on the pig.
He's got a hard nose.
Yeah.
Savvy.
He's a winner.
Yeah, how has Kelly Olynyk been described throughout his career? Oh, savvy player.
The Utes got Jackson Holcomb to commit. He's the guard and a pretty big transfer coming out of, what was it, not USU, UVU. So good for Alex Jensen.
Yeah, I'll save my good for Alex Jensen when they're at the upper part of the bottom half of the league.
Yeah, win 18 games. Not in league, total. You won 10 last year.
Oh, we'll move it up to 14.
Sure. Go in the right direction.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. Cole Bagley is going to join the show at 11:30, so we will talk more hockey coming up. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're teaming up with Beehive Meals, honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contests. Then listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Ben, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I am fascinated with crash outs, and I'm not meaning to be political, although this has to do with politics. The crash out of this Eric Swalwell guy is really something. And I just saw an article about all the A-list celebrities that contributed to his campaign and endorsed him. And I just got to say, in this job, we come in contact with a lot of different people out there. And who knows what anybody is up to. But I hope everybody... I hope I'm never in the position where I have to retract an endorsement. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Oh, I was totally wrong about that, dude. You know what?
Money.
We met him.
Sorry, Sean Penn.
I didn't know him that well, and I wasn't into the other candidates. He seemed like the best. Anyway, my next film.
We've had a little bit of that locally.
Because I actually don't blame somebody that endorses a candidate or gets politically active, and then somebody turns out to have a pretty wacky personal life that is, well, I should say wacky, like horribly dark personal life.
Yeah, right.
I don't think Sean Penn knew. Maybe Bob De Niro.
John Hamm?
I don't think John Hamm knew.
Yeah, I mean, remember people were up in arms that Quinn Snyder donated $500. So I think $1,000 total to Burgess Owens. It's like, first of all, you have to understand how little money that is. Second of all, Burgess Owens has never done anything remotely close to what Swalwell's being accused of.
No, but we talked about Sharon Moore, and then he went to bed, one night as the head coach at Michigan with an intact, supportive family. And then by the time his head hit the pillow the next night, he was in jail, right?
Yeah.
He was no longer the Michigan coach and incarcerated. This congressman went to bed running for governor, and as a congressman, and what is it, a short 3 days later, he's like, no job, not a congressman, not running for governor.
Right. A couple of staffers quit as the first, leak, and then the dam has collapsed within 72 hours. Yes. Now you're probably facing, it sounds like, prison.
the amount of time
Correct.
where that crumbled
Front
is
runner for governor.
remarkably fast.
Hanging out with Sean Penn.
To
Now I'm hanging out with Sean Penn in jail.
his weirdo billionaire friend that was his landlord kicked him out.
It's tough. I hope I don't crash out. Do we have a person in sports most likely to crash out next? Is there like somebody who's right on the...
Besides Sean?
Our producer, Sean?
Yeah.
Our current producer, Sean.
Kidding.
Christian's coming back.
Kidding about that.
Sean
We probably
here.
shouldn't even talk about it. Like, this guy's
Well,
light.
okay, I'm not talking about this level or even Sharon Moore. I am looking at, like, maybe we need to save this for another segment, but, like, who's teetering right now in the NBA that their playoffs are going to change kind of the way we view them? And there are players. I actually think Rudy Gobert is in a really interesting spot.
In a positive or negative way on the floor, not like...
Yeah, and not to do the, like,
not,
who's got to win the Super Bowl for their legacy? Not that sports talk conversation, but, like, I wonder if this is Rudy's last stand.
what is Rudy's legacy currently?
Rudy is still, I think, viewed as one of the better centers, not elite centers in the NBA anymore, but better centers. I think there's a chance that he gets washed a little bit by Jokic, who has been coasting through the season, though Jokic did just become the first player ever to lead the league.
But what's
in
his
rebounds and assists.
what's his current legacy? Not what is he going to do in the playoffs? How is he currently viewed by the NBA?
Yeah, upper level center.
Universe.
Respected upper level center. And I wonder if he falls back to... I wonder if he earns a legacy next year as one of the most overpaid players in the NBA, depending on what happens in this playoff series.
He will go down in history as one of the most overrated players in history. He could win it this year, and he's still going down as that.
I don't think that's his legacy. I don't think his day-to-day legacy right now is actually all that negative. I think people like Rudy right now, or are like somewhat.
People don't
warm
care
to
about
him.
Rudy.
They don't. You're right. But if he goes out on the national stage and gets run off the court by Jokic, which Jokic is going to average a 30-point triple-double in this series against the Timberwolves, we are going to veer back towards how quickly can the Timberwolves get Rudy off this team because he's ruining their roster. I think we're going to get there, and I don't think that is actually his legacy today, but 2 weeks from now, that will be what people are saying about
Rudy is the fourth, maybe fifth most relevant player on Minnesota. He will neither get credit nor blame if they win, which is...
Oh, I think people can't wait to blame him.
Listen, people, the reason he was even relevant in Utah was because he was getting so much coverage for doing something that you don't traditionally get coverage for. It's the reason Shaq was jealous, because he got a max contract, even though he's not remotely an offensive player. The NBA universe thought that was wrong. Draymond Green clowned him because they don't think he's very good. He didn't really do anything in Utah. So I think a lot of people feel vindicated either way because Rudy is no longer he's where he belongs. As the fourth or fifth most relevant guy. He's not making all-star teams.
Right.
He's barely making any waves with Defensive Player of the Year,
Yeah,
which
he's
I
not going
actually
to this year.
think
He's still probably the third best defensive player in the league.
Votes.
Yeah, he's still probably the third best defender in the NBA.
But he's been relegated to where people thought he belonged in the first place as I'm not trying to really clown anybody, but DeAndre Jordan type figure, where you're a starter on a good team and you can play defense and do the dirty work, but you're not being crowned as some star.
See, and I think that's actually where he is today. And I think
It is
2
where he
weeks
is
from
today.
now, he's not going to be there anymore. I think people are going to try and knock him down a peg because they're going to say, people are going to go back to Basketball Reference and say, how much is Rudy Gobert making if Jokic just put up this historic playoff series on him? And they're going to say, $30 million, or what? I'll pull it up right now. I'll do exactly what I'm saying, or accusing people of doing, and say, wow, he's the reason why they can't get further. In fact, they will be viewed as having taken a step back because they made the conference finals each of the last 2 years, and I think they're about to get bounced in the first round.
Except for nobody blames Andre Karolinko for being the shortcoming.
You do.
I do, and I'm the only one. Everybody else loves the guy. Everybody else thinks AK could do no wrong.
Rudy makes
because he was the fourth most relevant player on the team. Nobody blames the fourth most relevant player on the team
except you.
Except me. And that wasn't even all that much about his play on the floor. It was about how much he was compensated for his play on the floor.
That's exactly where Rudy is. And maybe to your point, if everyone adopts the Andre Kirilenko perspective of Rudy, you're right. I don't think anyone has viewed Rudy that generously outside of Utah ever. And even now, as we've gotten some distance from him, I think some fans have turned their back on him a little bit. But Rudy makes $36.5 next year, which actually is not that much money.
That's what I'm saying. He redid his deal.
And then he'll have a player option of $38 million after that. So he's not going to be so overpriced that they can't afford anybody, and they're not in the luxury tax in the next couple of years. Their financials are okay.
No, Rudy made a smart deal because he took the years and lowered his price tag.
Yeah. So he's going to be paid a lot for a long time, but not so much that I guess they're going to say, wow, he's the 10th highest paid player in the NBA, which for a while he was in that conversation.
Nobody here called Mike Conley overpaid, even though he was.
He was, yeah. Okay, whose legacy is more on the line? We can talk about this if you want. Rudy or Donovan in this playoff series?
Donovan by a mile. Because Donovan is the most relevant person on his team. Again, Rudy's fourth, probably. Think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Fifth? Not fifth. I would say fourth. They don't have a point guard.
Right.
Which is kind of where he belongs. Donovan actually belongs at second or third most relevant player on his team.
He might be an All-NBA first-team member this year.
But he has put himself at first, and I don't think he's good enough to be that.
Agreed.
And at some point, you have to prove that your team can win if you're the best player on it.
Yeah, he's good. He's really, really, really quickly approaching, if not already there, the Tracy McGrady conversation of can't get to the conference finals. You know, good player, all-star, future Hall of Famer, can't win when it matters. Doesn't beat good teams. Certainly never beats teams better than his.
Stay tuned. We will have more coming up next. Ben's throwing a, what do we call these games? Play-in games?
Party.
You're going to have a party tonight? Big watch party?
Yeah.
Sean going to go?
Sean's there. Everyone's there. All the who's who, including Sean.
Except for Salzar, right?
Yeah, Lloyd can't come.
Okay.
He's busy.
We'll get to more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.